Welcome to the Eric Avisar Show. Now, time to talk about Friday's matchups taking place in March Madness. Even better games going on in the second day of Sweet 16 games. The first game I'll be talking about is the most difficult, in my opinion, to prognosticate. LSU going up against Michigan State in what should be a really fun up-tempo clash. You know, the Tigers are led by blazing spark plug point man Tremont Waters. You know, Javante Smart's return has been a huge boost as well. You know, their freshman stud Naz Reid has been enigmatic and mercurial, to say the least, you know, in what will likely be a one and done season for him. But thankfully for LSU, he has really come to play in the tournament. So, you know, he's going to be a huge factor. I think a great individual matchup will be Reed going up against Michigan State's Nick Ward down low, as will, you know, Cassius Winston going up against Waters. You know, Winston is one of the better point guards in college basketball, but for my taste, a little bit overrated. You know, Matt McQuaid's going to really have to knock down a lot of shots, but LSU has the type of athletes that, you know, could run them off the floor. So that'll be a really important part of the game, too. You know, I'm really surprised to see Michigan State come out as 6-point favorites here, considering they haven't played particularly well as of yet. You know, they really struggled even in the 2-15 matchup against Bradley. So, you know, this is probably going to come down to the wire. And because of that, my money is on LSU. In terms of Michigan State being 6-point favorites, not really having it there. In the second game taking place, UNC is going to go to battle against Auburn. In the game most likely to be a track meet of the Sweet 16, you know, the Tar Heels will really look to push the ball. I mean, UNC really looked like they peaked in the ACC tournament. Luke May has now pulled down the most rebounds ever for a UNC player over a 2-season stretch. Kobe White, look, he's the best freshman point guard in college hoops. Certainly capable of being an absolute rainmaker with his outside shot. Love his game. Just a complete offensive game. You know, Cam Johnson and Nasir Little are also two great athletes who could, you know, really disrupt what's been an incredibly just very efficient and just, you can't say enough about the threes. The threes have been flying in left and right. I mean, it's almost just dumbfounding how good Auburn's been behind the three-point line. Bryce Brown and Jared Harper leading that attack. I mean, they humiliated Kansas in the round of 32. That's why I was almost speechless there just thinking about that one. But look, UNC's size really plays into their favor in this matchup, and Roy Williams is simply a better coach than Bruce Pearl. So I like UNC to cover the spread in this one. I have UNC taking care of business here. You know, I'm convinced that they will get through, but, you know, it is a bit of a wild card because you never know how hot Auburn can get from the field. But for 5-point favorites, take the Tar Heels. That's not really a massive spread there. In the third game of the night, Duke is going to be taking on Virginia Tech in what could be a battle for the ages. You know, about a month ago, everyone was talking about how Duke lost to Virginia Tech in large part because Zion Williamson was out of the lineup, but nobody really talks about how Virginia Tech's best player was unavailable that night. Justin Robinson missed it, and the Hokies still got it done. With J-Rob back in the lineup, people who know this Virginia Tech team know that the sky's the limit here. You know, he came off the bench, got the job done for Virginia Tech, could end up starting, although it'll be interesting to see what type of lineup Buzz Williams decides to put out there. And Duke is not playing their best basketball right now. They were extremely lucky to come out on top against UCF, but that doesn't change the fact that they have three of the top prospects in the upcoming NBA draft. Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett, and, you know, Zion. They could all go in the top 5. You know, Reddish probably not, but RJ and Zion for sure. But the thing is, RJ Barrett could end up being Duke's downfall here. I don't think he understands that this is supposed to be Zion's team, and when it's in crunch time, Zion needs to be the man with the ball, especially because Barrett is so good at getting to the free throw line and so bad at knocking down free throws since he shoots in the 60s. So that really does not bode well for Duke if this game turns into a free throw contest. But down low is what really gives Duke the edge. You know, having guys like Delorier and Bolden can make all the difference when, you know, the only true big man on Virginia Tech's team is Kerry Blackshear. You know, Blackshear has been an absolute monster for the Hokies. You know, I definitely think Nickeil Alexander-Walker could have a huge game as well. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, can Blackshear stay out of foul trouble? And will Ahmed Hill and Ty Outlaw keep hitting their threes? I like Duke to win this game, but I definitely don't think Duke will cover as 7.5-point favorites. And now, for the final matchup of the Sweet 16, we have Houston going up against Kentucky. Looking like a defensive struggle. Two of the best defensive teams in college basketball. You know, for Houston, they're a solid, deep, experienced team. Maybe not the most talented, but, you know, Corey Davis Jr. is certainly their outstanding performer, and he's going to have a huge game for the Cougs to win. You know, Kentucky has the edge here talent-wise, even without P.J. Washington. Washington is not the most talented player for Kentucky. You know, that could either go to someone like a Keldon Johnson or Ashton Hagans, you know, both guys who will probably have long careers in the NBA. But Washington's the most important player in this moment, and even if he plays, he's not going to be anywhere near 100%, which puts a lot of pressure on Reed Travis down low. Tyler Harrow could end up being a huge difference maker in this game as well. But, you know, you have to really show respect to Houston. You know, Bryson Gresham really shut down Caleb Wesson, you know, Ohio State superstar, forced him to become a three-point shooter, which is not his strength. So, you know, Houston could certainly push Kentucky out of their comfort zone. Kentucky are three-point favorites, which I think is a huge nod of respect to this Houston team. And, you know, because P.J. Washington's going to be out, and I just love the experience and the composure of this Houston team coached by Kelvin Sampson, I'm actually going to have Houston pull the upset here. Give me the Cougs. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and please be sure to subscribe to my channel.